Yeah, so here we are, Monday, after the Dallas Cowboys playoff game with the Green Bay Packers. I've been a fan of the Dallas Cowboys since 1990, which would have made me about 10 years old when I could actually understand and comprehend what was happening, what things meant on the field, what they were doing on the field, why they were doing what they were doing on the field, what the players' positions meant, what it took to physically play the game. I've seen the Aikman years, the Chad Hutchinson, Quincy Carter years, the Ryan Leaf, Vinny Testaverde, Drew Bledsoe, Jason Garrett years, where we were just plugging and playing veteran quarterbacks, and the Tony Romo years. Tony Romo overachieved. Nobody expected what he gave the game and what he gave the Dallas Cowboys. Getting to the playoffs was an earned privilege for him, and he earned every bit of it. A winning season was an accomplishment. He was given very little talent compared to what the modern teams have been given. So we've had some time here between the game and our podcast today. We're not going to scream and cuss and yell that I'm aware of. Slater may feel differently, but I've had time to reflect. And I've tried to keep an open mind as to the future of the organization and the state of the fandom. I feel that we can both agree that we're going to find out based on the decisions that are made over the coming days and weeks if this is a selfish organization or if they are truly going to put the fans first. So let me just give my take on how this went. From the players' perspective, all the players said, we loved our game preparation. We were mentally prepared and mentally ready to play this playoff game in their own home, which is where they play the best. They have one of the best rosters of any team in the last few years. Certainly more talented than the past 2 years. They have one of the best owners, despite what people think. Jerry Jones is a fantastic owner. They have a Super Bowl winning coach who has proven 3 years in a row to be successful. And they have what some would believe to be the quarterback that can win a Super Bowl. So what went wrong? We have a sought after defensive coach, again, a Super Bowl winning head coach, Jerry Jones, owner of the team. We have a fantastic roster and supposedly a quarterback that can win the Super Bowl. The coach coaches, but the players play. And at the end of the day, the players did not play. They made bad decisions. They miscommunicated. They did not deliver. Just because a coach calls the play doesn't mean that the play has to go exactly that way. When you're in a game like this, you have to make choices because let me tell you, anybody who shows up to play in a playoff game is prepared. They've done their due diligence at the end of the day to be successful and win that game. I think you have to hold everybody that was down on the field accountable. Mike McCarthy is accountable. Dan Quinn is accountable. Dak Prescott is accountable. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, if you get rid of Dak, who else you gonna get? Well, I can remember a time when Tony Romo was the quarterback for this team. A lot of people called for his head too. It's just part of the job. And just because you're a capable quarterback, which I feel that Dak is a capable quarterback, the record shows the man can play football. This is not a judgment on his ability. But if you look at quarterbacks who've had Super Bowl wins, sometimes it's not on the same team they played for before. Sometimes a quarterback does better on a different team. Because being the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys is a different animal altogether. It's not just about the talent of your play, it's the strength of your mind and your ability to handle the type of pressure that is going to be put on you, especially when that pressure is compounded by multiple failures, years of it. So it's hard to come back from that. There is a stain and a stink on this that I don't know can be overcome by this current team. So the question is not is Dak a capable quarterback, but is Dak the right quarterback to win a Super Bowl in Dallas? He could do it anywhere else, most likely. Carolina, Seattle. But can he do it here? That's the question I'm asking. I don't feel that anybody should get a pass. You go 3 seasons like this where you embarrass the city. What rights do you deserve? What faith should you get to keep? So I guess my first question to you, Slater, is obviously the coaches are the first to be held accountable. But how deep into the roster do you think that accountability should fall?
So before I get to your question, here's what I'm going to start with. I think it's just an end of an era for Dallas. I think we've tried to put the best roster together and push forward, and all the other teams in the league are only going to get better. You think next year the Detroit Lions are going to disappear? You think next year the Green Bay Packers are going to disappear? There's a good chance that San Fran's still going to be around. I don't see them dying off either. Then you're going to have teams who had injuries this year come back too. Minnesota Vikings, right? So, what else can we give this team to,
Make improvement.
yeah, go to the next level? Yesterday was just embarrassing, and it's been like that the 3 years we made the playoffs in a row. We are the most winning team in NFL history to never make an NFC championship appearance or a conference championship appearance in general.
In recent memory.
Yeah. And we are officially the first number 2 seed to lose to a number 7 seed. Not even in like a fight either. From the first drive all the way to the last, it was a beatdown. And the stats are going to tell you one thing, and the scoreboard's going to make it look like, oh wow, Dallas like just fought, just had a really bad first half. No, empty calorie. That's all it is. You might as well just be eating air. That's what they were doing. The accountability part, we're going to find out what kind of owner we truly have in Jerry Jones and what kind of legacy he wanted to leave, whether it's his fan base is more important to him or his money. It's just how I feel about it. I also feel that it's time to reconstruct some core pieces on our team. It's important to keep Parsons and CD and Diggs happy. They are the youth of our team and they are the future of our team. So if they feel that it's time to make a quarterback change, then you have to do what you have to do for your team. Don't lose everything because you want to try to keep competing and lose. What's the point? When there's a lot of teams, again, I'm going to use the Detroit Lions for an example, that turned everything around in 3 years. Two losing seasons with a coach in Dan Campbell that everyone laughed at in his first press conference about biting kneecaps off.
With a quarterback who was thrown away by another team
Mm.
and is now finding great success somewhere else.
He beat his former team last night. Now, the trade worked out for both teams, of course. One won a Super Bowl, and one eventually got his revenge and beat him. But what's the point? The Lions have turned around their team in 3 years and have potentially going to be in an NFC Championship game before Dallas ever touched it. Ever touched it. Because they get in their home game because of us, and they get the chance to maybe beat on Philly or Tampa. That's who they get. And they're going to make an NFC Championship game before we ever touched it. So it's cool. But the accountability has to go with either you're going to choose your head coach or your quarterback. And that's what my gut tells me. Can't keep both. You got to choose one. One's got to go. In my personal belief, I I love Dak Prescott. He's probably the first quarterback since Romo that like is in my recent memory that I remember the most as a Cowboys fan because I'm gonna sure say my first season of remembering the game was like 2013, 2012, and 2014 when they made that playoff run with Romo. But Dak was my quarterback. Like, love that guy to death. But I think his time in Dallas is just over. And I'm not saying that as he's bad. He's put up horrible numbers. He's MVP favorite. I love it for him. But it's time for maybe him to go take his success to another team.
It's a lot to overcome.
Yeah, it's a lot to just try to go back out there and say the same thing and say that you want something bigger than a hat and come out short, like way short. Even you might as well just put Cooper Rush in it, at the point like where we were at. I just so and you could just tell from the get go something was off. I don't know if something in practice this week happened. I don't know if CD was just wondering where Dak's head was at. I don't know. Something was off. It's time to keep the core. That's all I care about, Jerry Jones, and that's all I care about for this Dallas organization is keep your core of your young players and maybe decide it's time to move on. But at the same time, you move on from Dak, you're going to eat a lot of dead cap. And that's the situation you're in, and that's the situation you knew you'd be in when you signed them. So, just to talk about the game a little bit, here's what went wrong. We played with six DBs out there.
Right.
48% of the time is if if that's what I can recall.
Yeah.
Um, even when they knew they were running, never loaded the box. Just refused to. Just sat in two deep safeties while Aaron Jones just kept tumbling and rumbling for 15 yards play. Um, so they go down there and score. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, game script. We're here for it. Let's respond. We punt. Okay, that's weird. We get them to punt. Okay, we're in the fight. And Dak throws the first interception to Alexander. Bad luck. So you kind of figure you're going to go down 14-0. And that's the point where you would think the offense would respond with a field goal, a touchdown, just points, just to show them that we're here still. Like don't lose who you are. But we did because guess what? We went back to taking deep shots on first down and putting us behind the sticks in the first place. When Tony Pollard was running phenomenally in the first half, I saw flashes of San Fran trying to do too much, try to be the number two seed and intimidate teams. I mean, you didn't have to do all that. Could have just kept it simple like the Packers did. Run the ball, play action, and keep it short. Play by the sticks and not for the scores. But then what really probably shut down the game was the pick six right before half. And on that play, Dak Prescott's just staring down CD. I mean, and they picked him off on the same play last year, just staring down CD Lamb.
Week 12 in Green Bay.
Yep. And Dak's just snaps, staring down CD Lamb, staring him down. It's like, I mean, I get it. Y'all two gotta get something going. It was a rough first half, but you still gotta, like I said, run the ball. We're coming out of that 2-minute warning. Run the ball on 2nd and 2, and then go no huddle. Just get the first down and make this like start with the sticks fresh. Instead, you try to force something that wasn't there, and it cost you the game most likely right at that point. Because maybe you score there, and then you come around that half and you score again. It's 20-14. You put the pressure on a really young team. But when Jordan Love's sitting back there with all the time in the world, it is what it is. And I know Micah Parsons is a phenomenal edge rusher, but unless Dallas is willing to go get a linebacker to keep him there, I think he should be moved back just to have a little versatility.
Yeah, it's just too easy to take him out of the game.
It is,
You
and
just scheme against him and build the play to either confuse him or go the opposite direction of him.
so you have to choose what you're gonna do with him at this point. Are you gonna keep him as an edge rusher, which is fine, but you need to go get a linebacker,
Right. A
or,
real linebacker.
or you put him at linebacker and you gotta go get an edge because losing Micah Parsons on the edge can hurt too. Just because,
Not as bad as getting gouged
no, not as I think he's
by
more
Buffalo, by
Miami too.
Miami, by the Packers. I mean, 100, 100 yards running for at minimum for each one of those games because we didn't have any ass behind the defensive line. And an occasional tackle for a loss or an occasional sack in trade for getting the ball ran down your throat like that is just not a fair exchange for what we could gain having a bona fide 5-star middle linebacker in Micah Parsons playing in that position. Because you can still blitz, like you've said, you can still blitz, you can still do all the fun stuff, but
You could
it's
even
harder to determine what Micah Parsons going to do when he's lined up over the center.
it gives him more room to use his speed and help with the run game. And even then, you can put him at edge rusher still. If it's 3rd and long, put him at edge rusher when you know they're gonna throw, and put a middle linebacker in there that's like Bell. Bell's good on 3rd and longs, sure, but on those first 2 downs, I hate getting gouged. I feel sick for fans that bought tickets to that game. Who,
Yeah, you get a running back that wants to plow you over, and our defense becomes soft as baby shit. To be honest,
yep,
it's just a fact.
it's just a fact, and I, I, I don't know how to. I don't know what you do, but I know that you can't you can't run it back. Something's got to change. Whether you decide to keep the roster and bring in a new coach, sure, because you got one more year with Dak, and you can't take the dead cap. Fine, but you can't keep both of your head coach and your quarterback and believe that you can run it back. You will not get this roster back. Next year, you will be a worse team than you were this year.
So you know the definition of insanity, right?
Is repeating the same process over and
And
over.
expecting to get a different result.
Is what we've been in for 3 years
That's the
now.
fact, guys. And you got to take the emotion out of it. You got to take the emotion out of it and be honest with yourselves. With this current quarterback head coach combo, what success have we had other than a winning season? Is that good enough? Do I want a winning season? Sure. But the goal is to win a Super Bowl or contend for one. Or hell, I'd even take, a couple weeks in the playoffs at this point. It's just insane. And it comes down to this. You're either built with
Oh
the
my god.
ability to show up when you need to show up or you're not.
It,
And that's just the long and short of it. You have the gene to clutch it up when it's time to clutch it up or you don't. And Just look at the results. If you just look at the results, you have your answer.
Yeah, and all week this team talked and talked. The players, I'm gonna play phenomenal. I'm gonna be phenomenal, is what Micah Parsons said. And D-Law was like, we're gonna hit them. Well, there wasn't much hitting. It was more like they hit you because you guys were non-existent. And I get it. For the defensive side, the secondary looked lost. The linebackers in the secondary looked lost. And we talked about in our film study, communication and the linebackers to disrupt the running plays is what was key. And it did not happen. And the defense, I understand you got put in some really, really bad situations.
Yeah, they got to the playoffs playing man, and then they decided to play light zone.
Yeah, I don't get it. Dan Quinn, thank you for what you've done for the Dallas defense, but I think it's time for you to move on into maybe a head coaching role somewhere else. Just in the sense of, I just want a new era in Dallas, whether it may be a coach, a quarterback, I don't know. But I don't want to run it back. I don't want to watch this again. I don't want to watch it go 10-6 or 10-7 or whatever, and we sneak in as the 6 seed team and we're
And get
underdogs
mollywopped again.
and get mollywopped. Because guess what? If Philly wins tonight, bro. That's gonna be sad. Like, there's been so many teams lately that have been able to rebuild their roster within the 3 years that we've been trying to compete. That are like winning games, winning playoff games. Houston Texans got C.J. Stroud, beat the Browns and Joe Flacco, who no one thought they really could beat them, and whooped them. Then beat them, whooped them. And then you got the Lions, which we've already talked about. And within the 3 years that we've gone back to back to back playoff appearances, they have rebuilt their team and are winning playoff games. It just doesn't get easier. The Chiefs, since 2018, for 5 years in a row, whatever they have, they're going to make it as far as they can. And it's been a conference championship every year. For the first time, Mahomes is going to go play a road game. And yes, I understand. Dak Prescott is not Patrick Mahomes. Not what I'm asking. But could you imagine what Patrick Mahomes could do with our roster? I mean, it's time for. I keep coming back to the word.
You got to show up when you're supposed to show up.
Yeah, and it's just time to move on for the fans and for the team. It's time to find something new, exciting. You know, and
This isn't exciting anymore.
it's not fun to
It's
watch.
punishing. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm gonna rep the star
Yeah, I mean,
every day. That won't change.
I'm not ever gonna do what some of these fans do and light up jerseys and throw them away in
Yeah,
garbage
you're not gonna
cans.
see me pulling Skip Bayless and throwing all my
Yeah,
stuff away, like
we're
being
not.
in, being ignorant. Just. But I mean,
Yeah, we're not here to like garbage the organization, but we have to have honest conversations now because
right. This is not working.
it's not working.
And it
Since
hasn't worked yet at all, even a little bit. Yeah, we got it. We beat the Buccaneers. Yeah, yeah. Woo, kitty, woo, woo, woo. Who cares?
do you think Dak Prescott's going to play an MVP performance again like this? Do you think CeeDee Lamb's going to break the Cowboys records again? Do you think that the
Waste of a
defense
year. Wasted it for what?
exactly? And as much as I hate to say it, but Shan Sharp was right. When your defense doesn't get turnovers and they're not running the ball back to the house
And
and
you
they're not.
throw a couple interceptions that didn't need to be thrown. There was no reason to throw those picks. Bad decision making, unnerved, moment too big is what I think it was. Pressure.
You got a team with no pressure and
Pressure.
a team versus pressure. And we collapsed.
That's the word right there.
We collapsed and it
Folded like a lawn chair.
so I don't know from this point on, like of course, with everything, we're still gonna be making videos and we're still gonna keep going in the direction of always looking out for the Cowboys. But if they decide to just run it back, I'm going to have a hard time as a fan believing in it. And so I may be a negative Cowboy fan next year with the hopes of still hoping for success if we decide to run it back. But if some changes are made, I would enjoy it a little bit more.
So who's safe in your mind, off the top of your head? Not to put you on the spot, but who who gets Willy Wonka's golden ticket?
Ah, man, I
Obviously, while you think about that, Micah Parsons, CD
yeah, I
Lamb,
mean anyone
you
that's in your
know,
young core within their rookie
Smith,
contracts.
yeah, all those guys get the pass. But who do you not? And I'm not gonna point out one person. I'm just saying, like, who do you not want to see on the team next year? Is there anybody you can think of other than the head coaches? I just think I think it's time for youth and innovation because, like Slater said earlier in the podcast, this is a new era, not just for the organization of the Dallas Cowboys, but if you look around the league, it's a youth movement. Vitality and energy and innovation is going a long way. We just got mollywopped by a team that was 3-6 when they took down the Detroit Lions,
I
and now they just blew our doors off.
I want someone like a Dan Campbell who's a former Lion native and was a part of the worst of the Lions franchises come back to renovate his team. The the Houston Texans head coach. He was a linebacker for them for the longest time through the rough stretches of that franchise. And now he's back. I just want someone that is going to like look at the Colts with Shane
Fired up,
Steichen.
man.
I
Not,
mean,
not just
yeah, like I don't
mouth breathing on the sideline. Well, come on,
I'm
man.
not trying to win the Super Bowl anymore. If you get great playoff success, great. But I want something new. If it takes a couple years to get past the rough stretches of it, fine. But I don't want you to bring in a head coach because he won the Super Bowl. Like, yes,
Right.
everyone is excited that
Change a couple parts on the car, give it a wax and a paint job, and send it down the track.
yeah,
No,
I don't want Bill Belichick.
we need a new whip altogether.
I would love a Ravens defensive coordinator or the Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, with a new quarterback. I since 2016 we've had Dak Prescott. A lot of teams have moved on from quarterbacks a lot faster.
A lot faster, much faster.
And I
2 years, Audi,
do you
and
think
and
you're
they get another job too, and they have success where they're a better fit. It's not about the talent. This is not a knock on Dak Prescott
no,
and his
not at
talent.
all. I
It
love them.
it's a knock on the ability to show up for this team when this team is in the playoffs. And the fact is, it's not happening.
It's not at all. And for the Cowboys fans deserve a change, whether it may be your head coach or your quarterback. And I understand we're not NFL GMs. We don't fully understand salary cap, but I know you're getting eat a lot of dead cap getting rid of Dak
Well, I know
Prescott.
this. Everybody that was involved in that game last night, including the players, know more about football than any of us. So if anybody had the opportunity to do anything about anything that was going wrong in that game, they were playing on the field last night and they failed to do so.
Yeah,
If you're the expert in your own job and you see yourself failing and you do not find a way to correct course, then that means you are a failure at your job.
yeah.
And most people, when they fail at their job, they don't have a job. Why should this be any different?
I mean, I couldn't agree more. I just
Your job is to win the Super Bowl.
we brought you have to remember what we brought in Mike McCarthy for. Jerry Jones literally said it. We brought him in because he's a Super Bowl winning head coach with playoff experience and he's supposed to take us to the next level. It's not happening. So move on. Dak Prescott, we've had him since 2016. I mean, we gave Romo a long time, but I think it's just time to move on. And whether it's Trey Lance or whether it's some guy out of the draft again
Or a quarterback on a different team
or a
who has
free
had
agent.
a bad luck and a bad run and is talented as well.
Yeah,
Sometimes just a quarterback swap
I
can
just
change things. Look around the league, it happens.
I,
It doesn't have to be a number one draft pick to be a great quarterback.
Yeah, I just want
You can
something.
find them anywhere.
I want something as a fan.
They're all talented.
Yeah, and I just want something as a fan where I'm not sitting there every game and I see Dak go down and it's like, man, here we go again. And dink and dunk Dak's back. Empty calorie Dak is back. It's like I'd love to see a new quarterback under center just for the perspective of like, let's get some excitement around this team. Let's get some excitement around this franchise and for its fans. I will always defend Dak Prescott. If he went to the Broncos tomorrow and won them a Super Bowl like they did with Peyton Manning, I would support it. I'd be so happy for Dak. I think he deserves it. But at this moment in time for Dallas, I think that Dak Prescott era in Dallas is over, just like it was for Peyton Manning in the Colts.
There's a factor here that we got to think about. Like we said in the beginning, it's not just about the game is hard enough as it is. There's enough pressure on the players as it is. But now you got all this pressure that is now built up from the fandom, from the expectations, from the media, the failures, good, talented rosters. And it's not like this happened once.
I mean, how
How
like
how do you overcome that as a person trying to do a job with not it's compounded so big now that I think it's more about just needing a change just to make a change more than it is about finding the right part that you got to switch out to get us one playoff win because we
yeah,
couldn't even do that with what we got.
I respect Dak Prescott for this. Um, I don't know how he keeps handling the pressure because I'm not gonna lie.
It's
Imagine
pretty amazing.
as a rookie, you lose in 2016, fine, rookie. 2018, you lose. You knew that you came back in the year, but it looked like he was rattled. Like the pressure got to him yesterday. It's like 2021, 2022, all added up on him yesterday. He's like, if I don't win this game, it's over. Like he looked like he knew that it's over if I don't win this game. And you could tell that until it was over and at the very end, he loosened up. He
Yeah,
started so tight that game.
right.
Like
And you
just
think that's just going to suddenly change next year?
no, it's not
No,
because it's
it's
gonna be everyone in the media is gonna talk about these
right,
past 3 years
right.
and be like, "Oh, well, Dak Prescott's not gonna do it." Not, no one will ever
The
believe in it.
Cowboys will choke. The Cowboys will choke.
No one's
And
gonna believe in him again. As fans, we will because we're fans and we have to. He's our guy. The media, no. You think you're ever gonna convince anybody on the Dallas Cowboys again? When everyone raved on them this week, at least seven and
right.
a half point favorites at home. You're gonna have two home games. You never lost at home for the past 2 years. And you let the 9-8 Green Bay Packers, who snuck in because they barely beat the Bears.
Backhand you in your own house and give them two touchdowns on just on interceptions, and then couple a touchdown at least off of penalties. Ball at the 19. I mean, come on. I mean, it's complete choke,
Yeah.
complete and utter choke.
So probably gonna wrap this up here if you don't have any last comments.
No, I've said my piece. I love the Dallas Cowboys. I'll always be a fan. I'll be right there next year, and obviously we're going to continue to do what we do. And keep this thing rolling with all the news and events and
Exactly.
everything that comes with the postseason and the draft and all that good stuff. And we may jump back on here throughout the playoffs too, just to give reactions or comments or talk about anything that needs to be said. So
Yeah. So just to wrap it up here,
we're not decision makers, obviously, but if you have any questions or thoughts on anything that we've said or how we're seeing things, please, send us a message, hit us up, obviously like, subscribe, do all that good stuff for us, help keep us around. Uh, it's tough right now. That's a hard way. I don't mind a loss. I mean, shoot, I've been a Cowboys fan all my life, so I don't mind losing, but losing like this again, it's just it's deflating. It's it's embarrassing. It's annoying. You know, it's like, man, come on, man.
Yeah.
So
So just to wrap it up, we're gonna continue to keep doing this. We're gonna get geared up for next season, and we're gonna keep the train rolling. I mean, we're excited for next season, as always.
yeah,
August through January is my favorite time of the months or time of the year because it's football season.
we
So,
can hope for some big moves, some big changes, something to get excited about. Not let's move 3 players and pick up that guy and run it back because we gonna get it run right back down our throat.
yep.
Same old, same old. No Belichick, please. That's my final comment. Do not get Belichick, please,
Yes.
please.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's just time for something new, young, innovative,
Yeah,
right? So,
we got enough old heads running this thing as it is. You
yeah,
know, I'm not young myself, but I know when it's time to move into the new.
yeah. And, if any big news breaks, we'll come back with another video pretty quick because, we're going to be on top of it. But I think this is going to wrap it up for the 2023-24 Dallas Cowboys season. You got any final comments on it other than Belichick?
Uh,
I gotta make sure you get it off your chest because we can't go back.
yeah, no,
Gotta
I
let it
mean,
go.
I think that's really it. Go Lions.
Yeah, and if you haven't already, please like, subscribe. Like you said, leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. I know that we've been posting shorts and we've had some of y'all comment and like it. Come to our videos and do the same. So we appreciate the support. Appreciate all y'all out there. Until next time, this is the game plan.
Here we go!